everyone. Welcome to Unews. It's Thursday, June 13th. I'm Andrea Linares. Thanks for joining us. We begin in Washington, D.C., where a series of events continue to unfold. The president's son, Donald Trump Jr., wrapped up his meeting with the Senate Intelligence Committee. This as the president is facing fallout from his recent comments to ABC News on foreign interference in our elections. All this as more former administration officials are subpoenaed by House Democrats. However, we will have to wait and see if Hope Hicks can ultimately testify, because the White House could still assert executive privilege to prevent her from answering questions about her time in the Trump administration. Meantime, Trump supporter Lindsey Graham has come forward saying the president is wrong to take foreign information about an opponent. Capitol Hill on Wednesday, the House Judiciary Committee voted unanimously to support a bill to replenish the funds for 9/11 first responders who are sick or even dying from illnesses connected to their work in the aftermath of the tragic attacks. The bill still needs to pass a full House vote and the Senate, but as Blanca Rosa Vilches reports, some still believe that legislators could be doing much more. Now to another major story we've been following all week long. Police in the Dominican Republic are still trying to unravel the motives behind Sunday's shooting of former Red Sox star David Ortiz. Several people were arrested Wednesday, including the alleged shooter. Lorraine Cáceres is in Santo Domingo with the latest on the investigation. Lorraine, what do we know?
Andrea, right now we're standing outside the jail where these 6 suspects are being held. This is in the east part of Santo Domingo. All 6 of them are here. Police are saying that they're keeping all of them in separate jail cells so that first, they don't talk to each other and exchange information, and second, because they need to protect them. Their safety has been questioned after they have all received threats by other people inside this jail that are very upset that they are involved in this attack against people that they are looking for. But today, we're receiving information that number of people involved might go up to 12 because they're questioning 2 other people, 2 men that are serving sentences in jails in other towns around the country that are now being transferred here to Santo Domingo to be questioned. We don't know the identity of these people. We don't know if they're going to end up being suspects, but right now police are saying that it's not 10 people involved. This number is now going up to 12 people involved. We are, of course, are going to be looking out for the latest developments. We also know that the suspects that are being held here will be transferred shortly, sometime this afternoon, to court where they're going to face charges formally. Those charges are, the authorities are saying those charges are going to be intent to commit homicide and also gang activity. Andrea, back to you.
Lorraine, we've also read reports that some of the suspects have a criminal record here in the U.S. What else do we know about that?
Well, we don't have much details. What we do know is that Rolfi Ferreira, they call him El Cirujano, they're looking for this man, but we know that he's facing charges and he's wanted in Pennsylvania related to a shooting, but we don't have details on what exactly happened during that incident and how exactly did he get away from authorities in Buck County, Pennsylvania. So we'll definitely be watching out for those details. For now, I'll toss it back to you.
Lorraine, thank you for staying on top of this case. Nearly 8 years after being released from prison and having her murder conviction overturned, Amanda Knox is returning to Italy. As Paola Byron explains, it isn't to face her own legal proceedings, but to speak out for others who have been wrongly convicted. Knox writes and produces a podcast called The Truth About True Crime. Another man is currently serving a 16-year sentence for the murder of Meredith Kirscher. Welcome back to Unews. Lifeguards in Southern California are warning people about stingrays, letting the public know that warmer water activates the creatures. This after nearly a dozen people were stung in just one day. Jorge Hernandez has more. And now we turn to the ongoing humanitarian crisis at the southern border. Just this week in Texas, multiple bodies were discovered by local firefighters, all of them drowning victims who authorities believe may have lost their lives while trying to cross the Rio Grande. Grecia Lastra has all the details. The American Civil Liberties Union has asked the Supreme Court to wait until the fall to decide if it wants to allow the Trump administration to add a question about citizenship to the 2020 census. The coming up next, where two women appeared in court Wednesday charged with first-degree murder in the death of Marlene Ochoa Lopez. She was the pregnant 19-year-old who was killed and had her baby cut from her womb. Along with the two women, a man faces charges connected to concealing the crime. Evelyn Baker has this story. In Texas, a Catholic priest accused of touching a woman inappropriately as he administered last rites accepted a plea deal Wednesday. 75 next. Tensions escalate, this ahead of a June 18th deadline to release the last remaining inmates. That group of people regarded by the opposition as political prisoners. And Univision journalist Tiffany Roberts joins us now with the very latest details on this. Tiffany, thanks so much for being here. And first of all, who are these prisoners and why are they being released now? And facing a lot of pressure, and part of that pressure is to conduct new elections. Do you really think at some point Ortega is going to budge on that? Once again, yes. Do you think we're going to see more protests now that they're out of jail?
I don't see what happens.
Just in case. Well, Tiffany, thanks so much for that complete information regarding the situation in Nicaragua. And now, with ovarian cancer, Valeria Leon joins me from Mexico City. She's just outside the theater where people are now coming to pay their respects. Valeria?
Yes, 3 years ago she was diagnosed with cancer, and following this diagnosis, she confirmed that she underwent a number of different surgeries, but unfortunately she didn't make it. And this morning in a hospital in Mexico City, friends of the actress are gonna hold a wake for her in the next days. So their body will arrive here after they're gonna have the burial in the Panteón Francés in southern Mexico City. So this is a report we have for now here from Mexico City.
Valeria, thank you so much. Everyone is just devastated by this news. May she rest in peace, and we will have more coverage regarding Edith Gonzalez and her passing. And coming via Cavazos, who's here with what we can expect. What will you have for us? Now, swimming with sharks is not necessarily something that perhaps all of us want to do, but I can imagine there are some dangers to it, correct? Yeah. Wow, it's very, very interesting, a very interesting topic. Now, we were talking during the commercial break that you actually were part of this experience. You went in to swim with sharks, and I want to know about this because this is something that I personally would not be brave enough to do. How was that experience? How did you prepare for it? What are the precautions that you had to take about that? Now, would you do this again? I did. Well, good for you. And I actually be very careful at all times. So we do have this episode that will be out tonight. In with Carolina Sarasa, she has a preview of everything that's coming up next in hour 2 of Unews. Caro, what will you have for us?
Well, thank you, Andrea. We have a lot more coming up in minutes, and we are following this story of a Los Angeles County Sheriff deputy who was shot while waiting for his meal at a fast food restaurant. That officer passing away just this morning. We have the latest on the urgent search for his killer. And we also have the latest from the Santa Anita racetrack. State officials now moving in after the death of at least 29 racehorses. We have the reaction from residents and those who work at the track. And it's a story that we have been reporting on for several weeks now, the child sex abuse scandal surrounding La Luz del Mundo Church. But these allegations go back decades. We have a special report of one man who tried to speak out years ago. That story more coming up. Andrea, back to you.
Thanks so much, Carolina. We'll be waiting for you, of course. But first, coming up next, a new law. Welcome back to Unews. In Texas, a new law is making parents and children very happy. It sounds unusual, but selling lemonade will no longer be illegal in that state. Miriti Marungi explains. I guess it's perfect that this is happening right during the summertime so kids can spend their days perhaps doing something fun outside their home, selling lemonade to their neighbors and enjoy it. Now, a quick question. Have you bought your gift for dad yet? Well, this year, Americans are expected to spend more on Father's Day than ever before. That's all the time that we have for the first hour of Unews, but stay tuned for the second hour. We have much more information coming up next with Carolina Sarasa. Stay tuned.